When we examine ancient, authentic history with discerning minds, we are compelled to ask, what knowledge did the civilizations of antiquity possess regarding energy and electromagnetic fields? Why do their remnants exhibit striking similarities across the globe despite the apparent severance of connections between them? How could ancient structures harbor secrets potent enough to transform our understanding of technology, consciousness, and even the very nature of time? It appears that these remnants are not merely static memorials, as we once presumed, but rather encrypted maps of lost knowledge. They represent a journey that challenges accepted assumptions and opens a window onto civilizations that possessed insights of which we have only a fragmentary awareness. What surrounds us, therefore, is not simply relics, but silent mechanisms awaiting our comprehension, beckoning us to reconnect the severed threads in the story of humanity. In the previous section, we paused at Joseph Paxton, a figure who haunts the pages of historical records. His tale, as traditionally recounted, is one of fortunate circumstance, audacious innovation, and extraordinary success. Yet, regrettably, it is a spurious narrative devoid of veracity. It is said that Paxton obtained a position as a gardener at Chiswick Gardens at the age of 20. There, he encountered William Cavendish, the Duke of Devonshire, who, impressed by Paxton's expertise in horticulture, appointed him head gardener at Chatsworth House. Consequently, Paxton is credited with creating the Botanical Garden, the Rock Garden, and the Emperor Fountain, renowned for projecting water to a height reportedly twice that of Nelson's Column, alongside the design of the Grand Conservatory. He's also said to have developed the Cavendish banana, the most famous and widely cultivated variety in the world, found in nearly every market today. Moreover, he designed railway stations throughout the Peak District. Truly, a prodigiously talented young man with a spectrum of abilities. Yet Paxton's accomplishments extend far beyond bananas and the glasshouse. The narrative does not end here, for we confront a complex web of deception. His success at Chatsworth led to his commission to design the iconic Crystal Palace in London, constructed expressly for the Great Exhibition of 1851. Erected in Hyde Park within a single year, it stands as an engineering marvel unparalleled in history. The structure comprised over 1,000 cast-iron columns, whose total mass exceeded 4,000 tons, an achievement of architectural audacity that remains unmatched to this day. As Chance Brothers produced 300,000 panes of glass in the town of Smethwick, it follows that this factory manufactured glass sheets at a daily rate of 822, 7 days a week, throughout an entire year. Remember, all of this occurred long before the invention of mechanized glass production. This is the blueprint with which Paxton commenced his work. Yet, remarkably, in a single year, he transformed this modest drawing into the Crystal Palace, a structure vast enough to accommodate towering trees within. During the Great Exhibition, many of its glass panes on the roof and sides had to be covered, as the internal heat had become unbearably oppressive. Could it be that Paxton, the designer of the Chatsworth Glasshouse, did not foresee that a palace of such magnitude, constructed entirely of glass, would become akin to an inferno? This fabricated narrative collapses entirely when we learn that, after merely 1 year, in 1852, the Crystal Palace was dismantled in its entirety and relocated to Sydenham in southeast London, where it was reconstructed with 2 enormous water towers flanking it. Intriguingly, there exists no photographic evidence of the original Hyde Park Crystal Palace. All that survives are illustrative depictions. Should this not have been the first edifice of its kind, a magnet for photographers during the inauguration of the Great Exhibition of 1851? In reality, it is highly probable that 2 crystal palaces existed in London, both of which were eventually destroyed. Or perhaps the Hyde Park Palace itself was a fabrication. Even more fascinating is that a few years after its relocation to Sydenham, a map of the palace emerged from the genius of the very same landscape architect, who allegedly faced challenges in providing sufficient water. Supplying 12,000 fountains, 2 of which projected water to a height of 250 feet, alongside a variety of cascading waterfalls, was an extraordinarily arduous task. Yet for Paxton, it was achievable. He brought it to fruition. What is even more astonishing is that the Crystal Palace housed one of those impossibly grand and magnificent machines, the colossal, awe-inspiring organ. And the marvel did not end there. While Paxton was reconstructing the Crystal Palace at Sydenham, he was simultaneously designing the magnificent Montmore Tower for Baron Mayer Rothschild. Who could have imagined that a young landscape architect in his 20s would later be credited with some of the most improbable and astonishing engineering achievements in history? Paxton undoubtedly stands as a striking example of the negligence, or perhaps the deliberate omission, by adversaries in concealing genuine history. It is neither reasonable nor conceivable that citizens of the 19th century could have constructed such monumental edifices, let alone attributed their invention to a single individual. The truth is that the Crystal Palace, its gardens, and indeed the entirety of the Chatsworth estate functioned as immense agricultural networks, operating through a seamless integration of flowing water, sonic energy, and electromagnetic power to cultivate an astonishing variety of crops. Kew Gardens in London serves as another notable example of such ingenuity. The abundant electromagnetic energy allowed for effortless generation of heat, while vibrational frequencies stimulated plant growth. This, perhaps, explains the presence of the grand organ within the Crystal Palace, employed to generate the very vibrations and oscillations that promoted botanical development. The technology that existed in England at the time enabled the cultivation of numerous species with remarkable ease, yet the controllers of this knowledge managed to attribute the cultivation of bananas, a tropical fruit, to a fabricated English persona. Additional horticultural feats, likewise credited to Paxton's genius, included the successful cultivation of pineapples, another tropical species grown at Chatsworth, and the planting of the giant water lilies capable of supporting the weight of a human. He also planted the massive redwoods, which typically thrive only in moist environments, yet he succeeded in cultivating them with ease. Many of these arboreal giants remain standing to this day, forming a breathtaking spectacle. It is also worth noting that Wikipedia acknowledges Paxton's remarkable skill in transplanting colossal trees, a talent equal to his ability to relocate entire crystal palaces. Yet when we consider that some of those trees weighed more than 7 tons, one cannot help but ask, how did horse-drawn carts manage to transport such immense burdens? Truly, human deception and ingenuity are astonishingly facile. The magnificent glass house at Chatsworth was destroyed in the year 1922, and the Duke's son recorded in a letter to his father that over 200 pounds of explosives were employed to demolish it. This attests to the structure's formidable strength. It is hardly surprising, of course, for edifices of the ancient world were constructed to endure for centuries. What a profound loss that represents. Yet the fabrications surrounding the Peak District do not cease with Paxton alone. The entire national park in times past was a vast, interconnected hydroelectromagnetic system and is likely to have been one of the most significant agricultural centers in ancient Britain. Today, the park contains some of the largest collections of palaces, mansions, and stately country homes, all of which once functioned as massive farms and also served as regional retreats for therapeutic purposes. Indeed, for healing. The Peak District encompasses 2 prominent towns, Matlock, renowned for its historic baths, and Buxton, famed for its bottled waters. Even today, Both towns are adorned with monumental structures of the ancient world, power generators, vaulted edifices, capacitors, colonnaded arcades, music pavilions, gardens, and complex waterworks. Perched above Matlock, the imposing Ryberg Castle rises with its towers. These ruins have lain abandoned for more than a century, inaccessible to the general public. It is said to have been rapidly constructed by a man named John Smedley, who, according to official accounts, was an industrialist who, by the 19th century's 1850s, became the driving force behind the practice of hydrotherapy in Matlock, the therapeutic application of water. The official narrative tells us that Smedley was the architect behind the construction of the Smedley Hydro Building in Matlock, which today serves as a government administrative office. It was one among the numerous hydrotherapy establishments in the region, whose total number at certain points exceeded 20 facilities devoted to water-based treatments. Yet the truth is that John Smedley was not the true creator of the Hydro Building. Its astonishing construction, along with the colossal water tower attached to it, far exceeded his abilities, and indeed the capabilities of any 19th century citizen. The residents of the Beek District had inherited these infrastructural marvels in their entirety, while the controllers of our world understood that they had to eliminate any possibility of these buildings being used for their original purposes, or the heirs uncovering their true function, or of anyone ever connecting the events to discern the truth. Thus, they did what they always do. They employed a new puppet. Unlike Paxton, who reaped fame and fortune after being credited for his achievements, Smedley's role was entirely different. It was the same role played by countless other puppets in our society today. His task was to introduce the science of hydrotherapy to the public in a controlled manner, only for it to later be proclaimed primitive or fraudulent, thereby ensuring it was buried and erased from serious consideration. Accordingly, Smedley's story closely resembles that of another celebrated puppet of the enemy, whose fame has endured through the years. I myself once believed the fabrication surrounding this man. The hydrotherapy establishments were capable of accommodating hundreds of patients and achieved remarkable success in treating a wide range of ailments, from inflammations and jaundice to paralysis, rheumatism, and fever. Treatments were conducted through diverse methods, including immersion baths, application of wet compresses, and the combination of electricity with sound waves and water. One contemporary newspaper even noted the presence of electrically connected bells distributed throughout the buildings. There is no doubt that the true potential of hydrotherapy was not fully exploited in Smedley's facilities. Yet, despite this, they benefited the populace greatly and achieved extraordinary success, enabling the controllers to reap profits, at least temporarily. These establishments treated patients and improved their conditions by integrating water with sound, vibration, oscillation, and electromagnetic energy. Examine the list of electrotherapeutic treatments in one of the old booklets, which details options including the high-powered equivalent reflector, electroinduction, and treatment through high-frequency vibrations. Beyond this, there was the astonishing capability of the etheric water to heat rooms efficiently. In the botanical garden, a water-based heating apparatus was integrated into the walls, maintaining a constant temperature of 65 degrees. Even when the hall was filled with approximately 350 visitors, the temperature remained perfectly stable. How could such a technique exist in the 19th century, while today we lack heating systems of comparable precision and sophistication? Yet historians and journalists of the time deliberately tarnished Smedley's reputation, portraying hydrotherapy as a pseudoscience, equating it with homeopathy. Homeopathy, for context, is an alternative medical system based on the notion that a substance causing specific symptoms in a healthy individual can be used to treat similar symptoms in a patient, after gradually diluting it to the point that not a single molecule of the original substance remains. Nevertheless, practitioners maintain that water retains the memory of the substance. It must also be noted that Smedley engaged in numerous struggles with the emerging pharmaceutical industry. After his death, the hydrotherapy establishments were purchased and structural modifications erased their essence. Much like what occurred later with Nikola Tesla, Smedley fulfilled his prescribed role, presenting the sciences of the ancient world to the public, only for them to be discredited and suppressed indefinitely. Today, hydrotherapy remains no more than a hotel spa indulgence, its original applications based on vibrations and energy entirely erased. In this way, Smedley's portrayal justified, in the eyes of the controllers, the existence of the full electromagnetic water system in the Beek District, preventing 19th century residents and subsequent generations from questioning the purpose of the network, the remnants of which remain visible to this day. One can sit and repose and listen to the murmur of water flowing over the towers of the Dront Reservoir, which interconnects the region through its river branches and intertwined canals. One can also wander through the shops within abandoned power stations or pumping stations. Across every corner of the region, wonders await those who seek them. Ancient fountains whose waters once brought life to major cities and remote villages alike now transform into sites imbued with nostalgia and melancholy. The citizens of the ancient world discerned the secret of electromagnetic waters through their contemplation of the stars suspended in the celestial dome. These constellations taught them that the key to harnessing the ethereal energy extracted from the ionospheric layer resided within water, sound waves, vibrations, and resonance. Thus, they revered this gift by erecting domes, constructing star cities, and inventing symphonic magnetrons, offering gratitude to the Creator and the Holy Spirit for the life-giving water bestowed upon them as a reward for their wisdom. In so doing, they harmonized the knowledge of the scholars with the faith of the mystics. Naturally, it is no coincidence that some structures bear names reminiscent of Roman terraces, occasionally referred to as amphitheaters. Have you observed them from above? They resemble colossal sound amplifiers. Indeed, the term amphitheater is captivating. The prefix amp signifies a unit of electrical current, the ampere, while an amplifier, or amp, is a device that augments the power of signals, particularly delicate or sonic waves. Undoubtedly, one will begin to perceive the connections between these concepts and certain inventions that were permitted for our brief use, only to be discarded later as antiquated despite their efficacy. We could spend hours contemplating the inexhaustible examples of the ancient world's electromagnetic water networks. Yet I urge you to venture out personally, to investigate and document these structures whenever opportunity permits. Time presses, and the ticking of the clock reminds us of the necessity to advance. But wait, do you wonder whether these clocks also date back to the ancient world? Indeed, they do, and they hold immense significance. Although the ticking of the clock's hands may stir unease within the soul, it carries profound importance. Allow me, however, to reveal another missing fragment of this electromagnetic puzzle first, before we turn our gaze more closely upon these wondrous temporal mechanisms.